Agricultural population in Rwanda is estimated to be about 80% of the total population. The sector meets 90% of the national food needs and generates more than 70% of the country's export revenues.
The government of Rwanda has been investing quite heavily in this sector, simply because this is the backbone of this country's economy and contributes a third of GDP. It employs 70 to 80% of the population, and it contributes also to really reducing poverty. And over the last 5 years alone, the 1 million people were left out of poverty. This sector of agriculture has contributed almost 50% of that achievement.
You have to look at it in terms of the value, So it's not. You might have a situation where you have a lot of people are employed in the agriculture sector, but the problem is that where is the wealth actually created, and do you have the infrastructure to ensure that this wealth is created, and also about the income? What do people in that sector actually create wealth, and do they have real incomes?
Over the past decade, Rwanda has consistently implemented ambitious doing business reforms, including developing and implementing clear strategies to create a sustainable, enabling regulatory and institutional environment for businesses and investments to thrive. There is still a need to fast-track development and re-strategize policies within the sector, given the urgency to have a service-led economy.
For us, agriculture is not that it is lagging behind. No, it's growing. If you look at the numbers, it's growing very fast. But also the service sector is growing even more than agriculture. All of them are growing, and that's why we are saying 5% growth in agriculture, 90% growth in services, and 6% growth in industry. But then, given the trend, we're expecting even service to be at 56%, to be the lead. But then agriculture increasing, but its share becoming smaller.
If you look at these numbers that were given, you still realize that the sector has contributed still 1/3 of the of GDP of this country. It was expected to probably do better. We do also expect the sector to keep doing better in this area. We need just to continue, and this time we're encouraging the private sector to also come on board. So that whatever we now invest in as government will be to facilitate, what the private sector should be achieving.
Rwanda attracted $390 million in foreign direct investments in 2014. But to what extent are these foreign direct investments channeled into the agriculture sector?
Back in 2000, you would have hardly talked of any FDI in any agriculture subsector. It's now that we're trying to diversify and include, crops such as stevia and macadamia, and other essential oils and horticulture, to make sure that we have a bigger export basket. But also in other areas such as animal feeds. We now have 2 companies. One was invested in by Americans, another one by Singaporeans in animal feeds. One is in Rwanda, another one is in Musanze. And so, again, these are investors who came to Rwanda several times, talked to Rwandans, to leaders of this country, and realized this is a country that had and still has a very good and conducive business environment, and decided to invest. Working very closely with the Rwanda Development Board, we always really share good messages with whoever approaches us from many countries.
According to an assessment report by the World Bank, Rwanda loses $65 million annually in crop production-related risks, bringing about the need for structural transformation and a tighter-knit partnership between the government and the private sector.
Today we've been able to achieve around 13% of all operations in mechanization, and the target is, over the next 3 years, is to be able to double that and have 25% of our land that is mechanized. Post-harvest handling has been also very critical. We had to invest in that, but good enough when we talk about post-harvest handling. If you look at the storage facilities across the country, The private sector has also, in fact, been investing. Today we have close to 200,000 metric tons of storage capacity, and the government has invested in almost half of that, and the other half was invested in by the private sector.